Hi, I'm Nate Sexton, 2017 United States Disc Golf Champion, and we are here in Rock Hill again for the 2018 version of the event. I'm here on hole 1. We're going to bring you a course preview vid so you can know what to expect from the 20th USDGC happening this week. Hole 1 is a par 3. We're looking at the A pin at 253 feet, going downhill through this tight little gap, kind of over these rocks. It's a great little starting hole because it gives you those nerves as they're announcing your name for the US Championship, but it is straight ahead, mid-range or putter. Just throw down there your backhand, try to hit in this dusty area, and take one skip up to the basket. Hole 1 in the B position, 255 feet, using a different fairway here. We're heading out to the left. Best play is going to be a flex forehand over this very convincing fake rock, and then heading back to the right where the pin is perched on top of this stump. Tough green because there is a huge potential for rollaway. If you hit this putt a little low, there's a lot of action that can happen. You really want to get close and get your birdie. Hole 2 is a par 4, 629 feet with an uphill tee shot kind of framed up by these trees. You're going to see low backhand roller, or forehand air shots for the tee. Players are going to try to get to this landing zone where the drone is now, keeping in mind there's a hazard zone on the right up against the fence and an OB parking lot here on the left. Once you do make your approach to the green, you've got these pillars in the ground right next to the basket, so if you go hard right, you're going to have a very difficult putt. Welcome to hole 3 here at Winthrop Gold. This is one of the par 3 holes here. Pretty picturesque shot going downhill. Hazard rules, so if you do go outside the ropes, you're playing it where you lie, but with a 1-stroke penalty. Common play here is going to be backhand mid-range going dead at the pin, or forehand driver. If you know me, you know I'm probably going forehand driver. I'm going to use a Firebird here. Try to swing it out to the left and then come back in right, stay in bounds hopefully. Hole 4 is a par 4, short at just 444 feet, but not lacking in difficulty because you've got this low ceiling drive that you have to execute first, trying to go as far as possible really, well into this grass area so that you have an angle to negotiate this large mandatory tree coming into view on the right side. You must pass to the left of that tree and then skip hard to the right into this little half circle, really more than half of a circle, 75% circle green that is just lined by all these cypress trees. Very, very difficult to get in here for an easy birdie putt. You've got to get around the mando, take your skip, and hopefully don't roll away, allowing you to have that birdie chance. Hole 5, one of the signature holes in the game of disc golf, really. A par 5, 1,083 feet. Water carry off the tee. Try to get as far as you can down this fairway. Then play a long, straight shot with OB on both sides. Ideally, to set up your crossing third shot, you must be aware of the mandatory pull on the right of the screen. You must pass to the left there, forcing you to go over the water. You'd like to land the disc inbounds up here. It is very difficult to attack the pin, though, because it is so close to the edge. Hole 6 is a par 3, 371 feet, finishing to the left. A lot of out of bounds to deal with here as you've got lake on the left and OB ropes on the right. All OB drives will proceed to the drop spot, which is about a 40 to 45 foot death putt straight at the water. And if you miss that one in the water, you don't get to advance at all. Players are going to try to throw a low skipping backhand, find the sand, hold your shot there inbounds, and take the birdie. Hole 7 is a short par 3 at 284 feet. It is our first triple mandatory of the course. You have to make it through the gap in the bamboo fence to proceed to the green. If you miss the mandatories, you have a drop spot, your choice of 2 drop spots. Awkward angle, very unlikely to save your par. If you can navigate through this gate, you should be okay for a birdie putt unless you do go a little bit long. There is out of bounds along the fence and the road. Hole 8 is a par 4 at 697 feet. A lot of large trees in the fairway. You really have your pick of a number of shots. Backhand, flip up, backhand roller, even if you want to get really aggressive, or forehand hyzer. Ideally, you want to land in this area, avoiding this OB area on the left, defined by these red stakes, allowing you to attack with a very low forehand or backhand roller. You need a shot that is going to finish very hard to the right as this pin is tucked super far right and uphill with all these guardian trees. So this is a very, very well-earned birdie if you can get yourself up near circle's edge and make a nice putt.
We're here at hole 9, 685-foot, brand new hole design this year. Players are going to have two options off the tee. There's the layup area off to the left, or there's the much more aggressive straight play, which is to a much bigger landing zone, and it cuts off a lot of distance off the tee. If players go out of bounds, this is a stroke and distance hole. Players have two options. They can either rethrow from their previous lie or proceed to the drop zone, which is 366 feet from the pin. There's going to be a lot of big numbers in this hole. Personally, I think that the best play is to attack that bigger landing zone off the tee and leaving players an easy shot to the green, about 330 feet to 350 feet, depending on how big you go off the tee. My play this year will be a sidearm wraith or destroyer, depending on the wind, up the middle, try to land in the landing zone, and then from there, go with either a hyzer forehand or a backhand Thunderbird. Really, that depends on the wind as well. On the approach, the back right side of the green is a little bit more open than the front left side. My play is to try to push the right side of the green, hopefully with a forehand approach, land somewhat in that peanut green, and hopefully make your putt, move on with the 3 to the next hole.
Hole 10 is a par 4 at 549 feet, though there is an aggressive route straight to the pin that measures 474. If you want to go for the eagle, you go with crossing in one shot, trying to get to that tight green, but most players will play a layup into this area, trying to get up by this last tree to set up a relatively short crossing shot to that same small green, kind of cutting the hole in half, making it a 300-300 type of thing instead of one 475-foot shot. Elevated basket can play a little bit difficult when it does get windy, and there is a bit of a slope to the right of the basket, so it can be a difficult birdie, though we will see some eagles here.
Hole 11, traditionally one of the hardest holes on the course. In years past, they've taken a little bit of the bite out by making the OB ropes into hazards. They've done away with that this year. They brought back the stroke and distance, which makes this hole so difficult. The play off the tee for me is either going to be a roller or a sidearm. What changes is if the grass is wet, if I have an earlier tee time, I'm not going to go with the roller. If it's windy, I'm not going with the roller. In that case, I'll go with the forehand, try to play about 300 to 340 feet off the tee, and then another forehand into the green. Either way, it's a really difficult hole. The really tricky part is the green. Once you get up to the green, you have a lot of slope, a lot of shots. If they don't come in with the right angle or the right speed, they hit the hillside and they roll back down the hill out of bounds. So it's really important to put yourself in a comfortable landing zone off the tee.
Hole 12 is a par 4 starting out downhill, comes in at 901 feet. This is another hole where your OB options are limited to previous lie or drop zone. You can see the drop zone coming into view here. That is where a great drive will land from our longer throwing players. If you get there, then you've got about 347 feet to the basket. Big hyzer trying to stick this slopey green. Any out of bounds shot, as I said, will be limited to previous lie or drop, so you can stay there a long time if you're not able to stick this shot. Got the nice little built up brick green, but there is a nice slope there that can roll OB. You have to be careful of that as you approach. Hole 13 is a par 5. The A position measures 999 feet. The drive is a power backhand hyzer for a right-handed player, really even a flat to hyzer. You just have to stay to the left of this bike path as it gets narrower and narrower up here. As you land your drive here, your next shot will either be a very aggressive play over the parking lot to try to get to the island and putt for eagle, or a shot around these cedars into the secondary landing zone to set up a play for birdie. If you do go out of bounds, this hole can add up really quickly as you're going to be forced into a very, very long crossing shot after your penalty. Absolutely a well-earned birdie here on 13. Hole 13 is a par 5. In the B position, it measures 1,111 feet. The drive is a long right-hand hyzer with a backhand trying to reach this shaded area as the fairway narrows. You must stay left of the bike path to be inbounds. The second shot will either be a long crossing shot over the parking lot as the drone flies here, or a layup to the secondary landing zone beyond the cedar trees. And then we've got a pin tucked away here under this large tree, a little bit more raw distance, but also a little bit farther away from the out of bounds. So while it is longer, I think it's a little bit less treacherous than the A pin. Hole 14 is a par 3 going downhill at 413 feet. This hole has OB areas and hazard areas. The grass to the left of the sidewalk, excluding the green area, is hazard. So if you land down there beyond that rope, you're going to play where you lie with a penalty. The street is out of bounds. You're going to see big forehands, big backhand hyzers here, even a straight mid-range from a power player. You just want to stick it close with that tall basket. Hole 15 is a par 4 coming in at 539 feet. This is our second triple mandatory. You have to throw a low-driven power backhand here. You want to get a big skip once you navigate this mandatory. If you do miss it, you go to a drop zone where really bogey is a best-case scenario. There's almost no play to save your par. Great drives are going to find this area where the drone is now, setting up either a little backhand mid-range or putter, or maybe even a forehand shot into this extremely well-guarded green. This is one of the most difficult putting greens on the course. As you can see, many tree trunks and a lot of different guardians that make it very difficult to get a clean, unobstructed birdie putt. Hole 16 is a par 3, 391 feet, perhaps playing slightly downhill. You've got hazard rules on this hole unless you go extremely long. You have to get the disc inside the yellow ropes. If you do not, you'll putt where you lie with 1-stroke penalty. The challenge here is mostly the distance. You have a straight shot option with a backhand going straight between a gap, or you can go as the drone flew wide with a forehand or turnover. Difficult to stick the green though, as it gets very tight around the basket. Hole 17 is a par 3, 249 feet to the A pin. This is a very iconic hole, the island hole, the second to last hole of the championship that has ruined so many dreams thus far. We'll see if it does it again. This one you have to get inbounds or you're re-teeing. This pin, the A pin, is tucked so far left that is very risky to go for the basket. You mostly want to play a little to the right and try to make an outside circle or edge of circle putt. Hole 17 is a par 3. In the B position, it measures 254. This is the iconic island hole of the USDGC. All you have to do is clear the hay bales and stay short of the water. Short distance, but big nerves, as it's the second to last hole of the championship. The B pin is the more attackable as it's located more in the center of the green, though still very close to those hay bales. Just throw for the middle and hopefully make a short to medium range putt. Welcome to hole 18 here at Winthrop Gold. This is a 647-foot par 4. I think one of the most difficult holes on the course because you've got OB on both sides, a big steep hill, a mandatory tree, and a treacherous green to an elevated basket. The most common play you're going to see is just kind of a long, straight shot. You can go forehand or backhand. You just want to get as far up that hill as you can. And then you set up a decision for yourself. You got to decide, am I going for this green or am I going to lay up again and ensure a 4? I think the second shot on this hole is the hardest on the course. I'm going to see if I can get a nice birdie shot for you guys right now. Hopefully get one up there nice and close.